Hello, welcome to another video. It is Thursday, which means it's Talk Thursday. So it is just after 7 o'clock in the morning. It's cloudy, it's raining a little bit. I brought an umbrella. Probably don't really need it, but it could get heavier as we're walking. So, Talk Thursday. Today I want to talk about diet again. Diet's really important, and it's something that people really struggle with. So I figured I should share kind of just some more thoughts on the subject, because despite the fact that today I think I eat pretty well in terms of what people call healthy food, it wasn't always like that. I grew up a pretty fussy eater. I didn't eat vegetables. I ate mostly meat. Potatoes is probably the closest thing to a vegetable that I would eat. A lot of bread, kind of processed cheese, processed foods, crisps. Man, I ate so many crisps. I was less into sweet things actually, like jellies or chocolate, but really into crisps. And it's weird to think about now, but I used to drink like a can of Coke at least every day, which, I don't know, mightn't sound like a lot, feels like a lot now. I can't even really stomach the stuff. So yeah, I want to start with a little story. So when I was a kid, I hated peanut butter. I mean, the smell of the stuff, the sight of it provoked this like real visceral reaction in me. You know, I felt physically sick just from smelling the stuff. And I always remember my older brother would, you know, he might put some, let's say he was making a sandwich and he was putting peanut butter on it, he might get a bit in a spoon and, you know, chase me around the room or something. That's how disgusted I was by this stuff, about that. My older brother could use it as a weapon against me. And the reason I thought about this is that yesterday, well, first off, I'm on this elimination diet, and part of what I'm allowing myself to eat on this elimination diet is peanuts, and by extension peanut butter, or nuts in general, but peanut butter is included on the list of things that I'm allowed to have. So yesterday I was sitting down to make a snack which consisted of a couple of tablespoons of peanut butter and an apple. And if you've never had that and you're looking for something that's a reasonably healthy snack, try getting yourself an apple, slicing it into pieces, getting a bit of peanut butter, smearing it on the apple, and throw that in your mouth, because it's really good. But it got me thinking that when I was a kid, if you'd have put that in front of me on a plate, I would have been absolutely disgusted. But there I was, 2 big fat tablespoons of peanut butter sitting on a plate, putting it on apple and devouring the shit. I mean, it's really good. So the point in this little story is that I think it's important to not underestimate your capacity for change. Right? As a human, you know, one of your greatest traits or greatest abilities is your ability to adapt and change as needed to match the environment around you. And this happens all the time. You know, you start a new job, it's scary at first, but, you know, a few months later, you're used to it, it's settled into routines, you know the people, you know the building, and you get more and more comfortable as time passes. I remember going to the gym. I started back in August last year. I'd never worked out in a gym before. I'd only worked out at home. I actually felt quite nervous and self-conscious about working out in a gym, even though at this point I had trained as a personal trainer. I knew what I was doing. I was in reasonably good shape. I was still nervous going there, but, you know, that's gone these days. I'm used to it. So my point is, we adapt. We have this, and I know these are simple examples, but we have this huge capacity for change. Right now, I've seen stories of people that have lost limbs and thrived. People that have survived horrible diseases and adapted. And it's one thing that you can be sure that humans will do, and that humans have the capacity, all of us, is to change and adapt. So My peanut butter and apple snack yesterday got me thinking about this, because I think a lot of us want to make changes in our lives, especially when it comes to, eating healthier, working out, whatever it is. It's worth taking the time to just consider the fact that, and it's not a maybe, you do have the capacity to change. It's just you need to do it. Even here's another example, making these videos. I wanted to start a podcast or start a channel or talk about a lot of this stuff for a long time, and I didn't do it. I was terrified. I'm less than 2 weeks in and talking like I'm a veteran or something, but the thought of listening to my own voice, doing the editing, I don't even like being in photographs, so the thought of videoing myself and sharing it on the internet was just awful. But then I just decided to just do it, just show up and do it. So I've been showing up every day. I'm getting more comfortable, getting used to it, adapting. I'm even walking by people and still talking into this camera, even though it's weird and awkward and uncomfortable. So we have this capacity for change. Your body has this amazing capacity for change as well. If you start working out, whether it's doing a few push-ups a day, if you start stretching, and you do it consistently, and you show up every day, like we're showing up every day to go for a walk, you'll see the changes and you'll see the adaptation, and it will happen. You have that capacity for change. So when it comes to food, when I think back about how I changed my diet and how I went from someone that was very fussy about food to someone that these days I'll eat almost anything. There's a few key things that I would call out. So first off, it really is in your head. Right now, I think it's reasonable to say that everything is in your head, because everything really is in your head. But there can be a huge mental block, especially when it comes to food. And don't underestimate it. I mean, this is a real psychological thing that can be difficult to get over. It can be difficult changing the perception that your mind has of things, like my mind and peanut butter. So the one thing I would say is that it takes time, and you need to be kind to yourself and go slowly and accept the fact that this is a journey that's going to take some time. So start slow, right? Move slowly. So one of the things, for example, if you want to eat more vegetables, I would say just pick one vegetable that you can stomach, and start incorporating that a bit more. Some vegetables I would recommend would be broccoli, peppers, or also known as capsicum, or carrots. So carrots and broccoli, I mean, they're very mild, and I think they're good for you, but they don't have strong, overpowering flavors or anything like that. I don't think you're going to hate the taste of them. But also, you can cook them in different ways to get different results. And I think this is important, right? Because another point I was thinking about is that when it comes to eating and what you're eating, it's not really just about taste, is it? It's about texture. It's actually, for me, it was always more about texture than taste. And it's still true. Peppers, for example. I love peppers when they're stir-fried, when they're raw, when they're cooked in a curry or a stew or something like that. But if you roast them, it makes them taste really, really sweet and nice, but it makes them slimy. I can't eat them. I don't like them. It's the slimy texture. I'm not into it. But that doesn't mean I can't eat peppers at all, right? So with things like carrots and peppers and broccoli, how you cook them actually matters. You might like them cooked one way, but not another way. Another thing that helped me with vegetables in particular is that when I started eating them, I'd cut them up small. So rather than shoving a half a pepper into my mouth and having this all-consuming thing taking over, my taste buds, the space in my mouth, having to deal with the texture of that, I would just chop them small and cook them, and eating smaller bites that are maybe buried in rice or potatoes or whatever it is. It makes it easier to eat. So you can play with the size, you can play with how you cook the stuff, and I think that helps a lot. The other really kind of transformative thing for me was I became a vegetarian. Now, before you close the video and get angry about that, I'm not recommending that you become a vegetarian. I'm not recommending that anybody become a vegetarian. For me, it was transformative. It was one of the most important things I ever did in my life. I'm no longer vegetarian. I do eat fish now. But the reason it was so important is because it was really limiting. You know, all of a sudden there was a whole range of things that I couldn't eat. And if I went to a restaurant, the restaurant, like, it's a lot better these days, but 15 years ago or 16 years ago when I went vegetarian, things were very different. So restaurants might have one option or two options at the most, and you'd have to have one of them. And they were often mushrooms, and I don't like mushrooms. That's kind of the texture thing again. Although recently I was in a restaurant and we ordered a kind of a set menu that included loads of mushrooms, so I just ate loads of them, and they were fine. You know, I still don't love them, but you can still sit down and eat them and try this stuff. But the point is, I recommend that people go vegetarian just for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, or maybe go to a restaurant and pretend you're vegetarian. And the reason is excuse me, the reason is that it limits your choice, right? All of a sudden you're a vegetarian, you just gotta have whatever the vegetarian option is, and you probably have to try something new, and you might like it. It's worth giving it a go. So there's a couple of things that I think are worth thinking about. Nothing groundbreaking here. You know, I think we all know this stuff subconsciously. We all know that people are capable of change. I think we often lack confidence in ourselves, which is unfortunate, you know, because we all have that capacity. Like, for example, if a war broke out tomorrow and all of a sudden you were put on food rations and your daily calories were halved, and you had to eat this rationed food that, you know, normally you never would have touched and make you sick, you'd be starving, you'd be eating these rations, you would get used to it, and you'd start doing things that you never thought you had the capacity to do in that sort of environment. Now, that's extreme. I don't want that to happen, obviously, but I think it's worth thinking about. You do have that capacity for change. And then secondly, take it slow, you know, small steps. You can get there. And that's pretty much all I have for Talk Thursday today. Hopefully this was useful for someone. You know that, again, you can change. You're not alone in this. Just give it time and have a bit of confidence in yourself. And yeah, that's it. I need to start saying like and subscribe and all that stuff. If you're still here, thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow I think I want to share a quick stretching routine, something that only takes 5 minutes, but if you do it every day, you'll see kind of big benefits in how you're moving. I'll also probably, what I'd like to do is show my flexibility first thing in the morning. Maybe I'll get up, I'll look like crap, but I'll turn on the camera and I'll just do some basic stretches and show you the limitations of my mobility, and then I'll stretch out for 5 minutes or so and show you how quickly those ranges of motion improve, and show you the value in kind of having these morning stretching routines and the impact it has on your body. But anyway, I'll figure that out tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.